kind of come to realize that it's probably more along the lines of people getting like stuff in their headsets from their producer of like what they're setting up or how close they are to break and all that stuff. But for me, it's always just me setting up my own stuff. Like it is the like,
you're the producer giving yourself the setup. Well, I mean, if it's a pregnant pause, then it should have a little baby thought come out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the first thing that baby says,
"Who am I? None of your business."
And the second thing is,
and the third thing is,
that's all it has to say.
Yeah. I know it's a morning show.
It's Justin and Tommy eating up the airwaves.
And to you, Roger, I say,
I was too busy blocking out the haters.
Yeah.
Where's that from?
I don't know. I was too busy blocking out the haters.
Ludicrous speed.
That's overused. It's overused.
Certainly overused by me. Well, I think we're going to have a lovely show because
are we ready?
I'm fired up. Right. I'm fired up about this topic.
Here we go. Let's go ahead and do the intro. Wait.
128 on That is so radio talk show, the music. That's amazing. What is that song?
That is My City Is Gone, but it's the Rush Limbaugh song.
That's why I know it. Okay, yeah.
When I do the Rush Limbaugh,
yeah.
Yes, Snurdly, this James Comey, in my formerly tobacco stained hands, James Comey. Oh yeah, we'll be right back on the Imdb network.
All right, let's bring Justin back.
Yeah, hi, it's me.
Hey, good. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you want to help out the Daily Tech News Show? Well, it's really easy. Just go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support and find out how. Thank you.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, June 8th, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Justin Robert Young sitting right alongside me in the theater of your mind.
Well, hello, friends. It's good to be here. I'm not going to lie to you. My internal clock is thrown off a little bit because I had to wake up a couple hours early.
It was ridiculous. I woke up this morning early. I woke up early, too, for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up my phone, and I see a notification, jury has gone live. I'm like, what the? And then I'm like, oh, right. There's the whole Comey thing. So how did your coverage go?
Very, very well. We were very excited to do it. We were in partnership with the Daily Dot, which was the first time that we've ever worked with a media partner and anything like that. And we were joined by Scott Johnson. It was really, really fun to do it. And I was excited to be a part of a moment in history.
Moment in history. You know what I noticed? I watched the Spanish state television news every day, and they generally cover the big U.S. stories.
Yeah.
Didn't touch this. Didn't care. Didn't even talk about it.
How are you even going to explain it?
Yeah. All right. We are going to talk about one of the big things missing from all the big developer conference announcements. We've had WWDC from Apple. We've had Google I/O. We've had Microsoft Build. We've had F8.
Preach.
I'll give Facebook partial credit on this one, but none of them really talking about password authentication.
And it's something that's very, very interesting, especially in the summer of sharks.
Well, let's start with a few tech things you should know about. Recode sources say Verizon may lay off around 1,000 people after the merger of Yahoo and AOL. The jobs would account for just less than 20% of the combined workforce and reduce redundancies in HR, finance, and marketing. Yahoo shareholders voted today, on Thursday, to approve the company's sale to Verizon for $4.48 billion, and the deal is expected to close on June 13th. 2017. You know, Justin, some children have gone their entire adult lives with Verizon waiting to buy Yahoo, at least if they were 18 last summer when this started.
You know, this is obviously a merger that has been fraught with problems, very close to a deal, and then all of a sudden Yahoo has to admit all these security improprieties. Verizon now wants to renegotiate, get a little discount on the package since things have been scratched and dented a little bit. Now seems as if everything is going to be all sewn up by June 13th. But these layoffs feel like very common for companies this large, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 1,000 number does sound big, but they're two big companies, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more rounds before this is all said and done. Sadly.
Yeah, it seems like at this point what they're saying is these are not key product people necessarily. These are office staff. You know, you don't necessarily, if you're going to combine offices and you're going to combine resources and everybody's going to fall under one HR tree.
Right. You don't need two heads of HR. You don't need two CFOs. Don't forget, this is all going to be under the Auth internal brand. Yahoo and AOL will be Auth companies.
Yes.
I don't know why they did. Sure. Okay. They're Auth.
And
there's going to be some oaths from those 1,000 people that get laid off. I'll tell you that.
That means everybody, those 1,000 are the first oath breakers. Alibaba forecasts 45 to 49% revenue growth for the fiscal year ending in March, well above analysts' expectations of 35% or so. Expansion from online shopping into cloud computing and media streaming seem to have paid off. Cloud computing services in particular now account for about 5% of overall sales. To reflect this expansion, Alibaba will begin reporting, quote, active consumers rather than buyers.
Yeah, so the bottom line here is a lot of people have been worried about Alibaba and Tencent's bottom lines given the slowing Chinese economy. Yeah. And Alibaba has shown, well, we are not subject to one country's economy. Yes, China is our dominant market, but we are diversifying within that market. And also they're putting feelers out in other markets around the world. Now, it's going to take a little longer for the other markets around the world to show up in the bottom line if they're going to show up. But Alibaba becoming more than just the eBay of China and also becoming more than just a Chinese company.
You know, we're in a very interesting place with a lot of these companies, and Alibaba is probably the biggest example of them, because even if the Chinese economy slows, a lot of these companies that have not only a stronghold in China in a traditional kind of economic market idea, but also are companies that the Chinese government wants to see not only do well, but remain competitive, if not dominant, against global American brands. You got to wonder whether or not they will ever feel a wilting in the way that, let's say, an American retail brand in a bear market would.
Yeah. So good. It's good news, and it keeps their string of 40% revenue growth going. I mean, I guess these are forecasts for the fiscal year, but these forecasts generally do on purpose hew very close to what you end up with, because they're basically going on the numbers they know so far. And they're saying we still got a few more things to calculate. It might drift one way or another a tiny bit, but this is a pretty solid number.
Well, and also, you know, I guess one more thing about the cloud computing in China. I wonder whether or not that is, you wouldn't think from our vantage point, a cloud computing company in China that has such ties to the Chinese government, or where the Chinese government can make life very, very difficult for you if you do not want to play ball, whether or not a data storage option from them would be something that a lot of people would go after from our perspective. But, you know, obviously they're doing very well with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's an outside of China viewpoint.
Exactly.
If you're inside China, you look at Alibaba as a solid, forward-thinking company, and you don't have a lot of other options cloud storage-wise, because non-Chinese companies have been tentative to go into that Chinese market because of restrictions.
Great point.
Amazon changed its Amazon Drive plans, eliminating the unlimited storage option. Speaking of cloud options, here outside of China, the options just get worse. Amazon's $59.99 a year plan now has a cap of 1 terabyte, so it's still pretty big. Customers can add storage at $60 a terabyte if they want more than a terabyte. So basically, it's just $60 a terabyte now. And you have a maximum of 30 terabytes that you can buy. Prime members still receive unlimited photo storage, so they still want you to stick your photos on Amazon. Those won't count against your limit. If you are a current unlimited customer, at the end of your subscription, whether you did a month or a year or whatever, you will be switched to the terabyte plan because it's the same cost. And you will, from that moment, from the moment your current subscription ends and the new terabyte subscription begins, you'll have 180 days, that's 6 months, to get under the limit. If you don't get under the limit in 180 days, they just delete the most recent files backwards in time until they get you to a terabyte.
2 thoughts on this. Number 1, we need a name for the grand continuum of all that is capped will be unlimited and all that is unlimited will be capped, right? Because that is just, it's happened now 1.5 times in mobile data usage, right? And we've seen similar things.
It's the BSGing, the Battlestar Galactica-ing of storage. All of this has happened before, and all of it will happen again.
And eventually it's going to get to unlimited, and then it'll get capped again, and then it'll get to unlimited, then it'll get capped again. I think, to me, though, for Amazon, the big question here is, does unlimited equal enterprise? Have we blurred the line so much that anybody who wants to create something that would involve storing a gigantic amount of information can take advantage of an unlimited plan that is designed for more of the I just want to store a bunch of stuff on my off my computer.
Yeah. Is it a few small actors saying, I don't want to pay for Amazon Web Services, I'm just going to use this unlimited drive here and get by on that caused the problem, that makes the sysadmin make the recommendation, that gets the marketing manager to agree for the product manager to implement the new limit? That's usually the way it rolls.
Because I'm sure that they come to that terabyte number by looking at all their data usage and saying, 98% of people who are on this plan will be totally fine with a terabyte.
Will not even notice, because
and the rest of them, we'll just slip them the card for AWS.
Yeah, and they're giving them plenty of time. 6 months is plenty of time to get under the limit.
Not bad. And listen, we are in a very competitive market for places to store your stuff. Like it.
And I mean, if you have a legitimate need for this and $60 is not crippling for you, you can also just pay for another terabyte. If you've got 1.5 terabytes on there and they switch you to the new plan, you can up it to 2 terabytes. They're giving you that option too.
$60 a year is insanely cheap. That's great. Cisco's Visual Network Index projects 82% of all consumer IP traffic will be video in 2021, and that total traffic will grow from 3.3 zettabytes annually. That's around 278 exabytes per month. Cisco expects there to be 3.5 network devices per capita worldwide by 2021. Last year, the number was 2.3. Average network speeds will reach 53
megabits per second.
Megabits per second.
Yeah, the devices per capita, I want to point out, is interesting because that doesn't seem like a big jump, but you're talking worldwide. You're talking everybody, people who don't even have an internet count. So that average is over a smaller population maybe than it would be otherwise. However, you also have to remember that number of devices per person is growing a lot. I mean, I have a ridiculous number of devices because of this job, but even if I didn't, I might have a tablet, a phone, a laptop, and maybe an Apple TV or a Roku, right? That's 4. That's above average already right there.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. And it's also easy to remember a time when we would think, well, we don't need a smart device because I have my laptop, right? And now we have found a reason to justify multiple on us at all times.
Yeah. And going back to, I mean, honestly, the 82% of it being video by 2021, not a huge surprise.
No.
And again, this is consumer traffic. They're discounting enterprise traffic and things like that. I think I was mostly attracted to that part of the story because zettabytes. I mean, we're not even talking exabytes anymore. We're talking zettabytes of data flipping around. That's pretty impressive. You can complain all you want about slow broadband and Skype dropouts and Hangout drifting and all of this, but think about it, folks. You know, going back to that laptop where you felt capacious because you had 10 megabytes of storage.
Feel the power.
We're going to be generating zettabytes of traffic.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to the day where I can get a zettabyte hard drive.
I'm going to tell you what, that day's probably closer than we think. And as to the 80%, you got to figure that's not only the popularity of video and the ubiquity of it, but also the fact that we're going to continue to get bigger, higher quality being delivered over any and all the ports of the internet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a big part of Cisco's calculation here is, you know, all video becomes HD at this point for the most part. Yeah. And then a 4K and HDR video starts to increase quite a bit. Finally, Microsoft confirmed it has acquired an Israeli startup called Hexite, which uses artificial intelligence to identify and protect against attacks. Microsoft says Hexite will be folded into its security efforts for commercial Windows 10 users, specifically Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. Hexite can detect and stop small issues on its own, raising larger ones to human teams when necessary. That takes the pressure off, gives people more time, and has been shown in tests to improve response time to security threats. IDC estimates the enterprise will spend nearly $82 billion on security software this year.
And a big shout out for Israeli tech startups. I feel like I hear that moniker more and more. So
they definitely get acquired for significant amounts of money quite regularly. You're right.
They're almost like what Russia is to NHL players or Latvia is to NBA players.
Right. They're the feeding ground.
Someone's got a scout in Tel Aviv and they're going
the Caribbean for baseball. It's
exactly.
Israel for startups.
It's a place you put a couple guys there. You make sure you see what the scene is. You scoop them up before they make their way to America.
I'm going to drop in.
Roger.
I just want to add that like Israel has made a conscious effort in that region because I mean it's an area devoid of a lot of natural resources, so they really leverage their people and even Intel. Their lab there was the one that actually came up with the microarchitecture for the core processors. So everything that kind of derived from there was based on that work. So, I mean, it is a hotbed of not just startups, but just a lot of research labs and a lot of tech research that is like just off the wall like crazy.
Yeah, a lot of effort going into it for sure.
And by the way, just a reminder, Israel is about the physical size of New Jersey, and much of it is desert. So it is not a big place, but making a big impact. As to this news, Hexite, very, very interesting for, to another way to fold AI into our daily life. I feel like that this is probably its own meme generator at this point, right?
Yeah. In fact, it leads us to today's main topic. So I just want to remind folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, find out other things that are going on, keep up to date, not have to worry about a time strain and still remain current on the tech news. Check out Daily Tech Headlines, dailytechheadlines.com. It is there on your Amazon Echo as a flash briefing. It's on the new Anchor app at anchor.fm, and it's available as a good old-fashioned podcast at dailytechheadlines.com. All right, so why aren't any of the major tech companies talking about solving authentication? I went back and I looked because we've had big announcements. Well, we had Samsung with the Galaxy S8, but we've had these big developers conferences, F8, Build, I/O, WWDC. Hardly any time in any of these long keynotes was given to one of the biggest problems users of technology, which is password authentication. We're talking about Hexite, being a valuable startup to keep networks secure. We're talking about IDC estimating $82 billion on security software this year. One of the reasons that we have so many security vulnerabilities. Now, I'm not trying to say it's the only reason, but one of the reasons is people use weak passwords. And why do people use weak passwords? Because it's really hard to remember passwords. It's a real pain to have to log in to things. And password databases, hackers go through them like tissue paper. There's a breach every week. So I went back through, Justin.
Yep.
Build, I/O, WWDC in the keynotes.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Jack.
Nothing.
Jack.
F8 at least touched on account recovery. If you remember, they announced their delegated account recovery. That's where a developer can use an API to store a token on Facebook. And if you forget your password, you can recover it using your Facebook account. There's no information shared between Facebook and that account thing. It's just something Facebook wants to do because it makes people want to use a Facebook account. That's a step down the road of this, but that is not getting rid of passwords. That's password recovery. So why, Justin? When Google in 2015 and 2016 had whole segments in Google I/O about password management and getting rid of passwords, and they joined FIDO, which was created in 2013 and is still going, with the effort to make an open standard for authentication that would eventually ease and maybe get rid of passwords. Why are we hearing these companies say nothing about it?
Not to mention the fact that there seems to be a tremendous pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for all of these companies that scrap, claw, and fight for people to remain logged into their services. The reason why Apple and Amazon have had tremendous success with the iTunes store on Apple's side and the Everything store on Amazon's side is because people remain logged in, and creating an easier way to do that is key. You can say that at least Apple has created on their flagship product, the iPhone, a thumb sensor that has sought a way to expedite and make more secure your thumbprint being your password, and has opened that up to developers for their apps. But you are right, man. It feels like somebody that is able to radically change how we look at authentication could give themselves a tremendous step forward. However, the other side of this is, in Samsung's case, they had their iris scanner, and now all of a sudden that is revealed to be not quite as secure as you might have thought. And
and that was no different than the thumbprint scanner on Touch ID. Apple's Touch ID was immediately shown to be spoofable as well. These are single factors we're talking about with iris scanning. And
I would push back slightly that the process by which you could spoof a thumb on the thumbprint was more involved than holding up a picture like they could do for.
No, the iris scanner required more than just holding up a picture. You had to take a picture with an infrared camera, and you had to be in line of sight and get it at a high enough resolution. I mean, maybe a little easier, still not something everybody's going to do.
Not something everybody could do, but still, but
still something that is appropriate to bring up in the Summer of Sharks.
Because you're absolutely right. This is a security issue, but also it's an ease of use. And that's what all of these companies theoretically really want, is to make it easier and safer for you to use their products. But anybody that has stepped out into this water has realized that, hey, look, maybe passwords, as fallible as they might be, are here for a reason, because everybody has agreed on the idea that this is secure enough.
And I'm not coming out of this with like, I'm so sick of passwords. Why can't anybody come up with something to replace passwords? I'm coming at this after years of Google telling me, hey, we've got Project Abacus, and the promise here is we could get rid of passwords and we could have secure login by learning who you are and being able to log you in based on a device. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's a ring that builds up authentication during the day. Maybe it's a combination of both, something you are, something you have, something you know. We can have all of this, and none of it has to be some horrible password that's hard to remember. You don't have to keep all your passwords in a password manager. I mean, Google has been telling me this for 2 years and then dropped dead silent about it this year. Other companies, PayPal helped start FIDO with the idea of we really need to get past the password authentication thing. So I'm not coming up with this. Companies have been telling me we think we can do this for years. And then it just struck me that, at least in the first half of 2017, they're talking a lot about protecting your privacy, but nothing about making it easier to log in and protect your security that way.
Why do you think this is less of a priority now than it was 2 years ago, based solely on their public statements?
I think a lot of it has to do with it being harder than they thought.
Absolutely.
And I think that's perfectly fair to say, you know what? we thought we could do this, and we just can't get a system that really works well. I think a lot of it has to do with, as much as you say there's a pot of gold at the end, there's also a lot of cost in doing this, and it may not balance out. And they may say, look, you know what? Fingerprint scanners and iris scanners are great wow factors that make people feel more secure, even if they don't get rid of passwords. So let's spend our time on those instead.
I think the question is, do you dare to go 3 steps forward? And if you fail, you go 4 steps back.
Yeah.
Because the last thing that you want is to erode company trust between its user base, where now you are the less secure version of it.
And it's that classic standard situation, right? You don't want to go out on the limb and then have everybody else go, you know what, we're going to stick with passwords, because then you won't succeed, because you need everybody to do whatever it is.
Yes, you need to strike the chord that resonates with the rest of the industry, which means that there's really only a few companies that can do it. And I would say probably Apple and Google are the only two that I think that if they came out with a dominant, awesome, clearly more secure, easier way to access all of the features that you love with these products, that it would resonate immediately. I think people would adopt it. Or
you need Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, and Google to all adopt. You could even possibly leave Apple out and wait for them to catch up later, like they often do. But without the majority of those, you're not going to get it done. Now, Fido has Google and Microsoft and Samsung and Dropbox and PayPal. Like, they have big guns. So that makes me think, well, wait a minute. You don't think Amazon and Facebook might jump in here if it looked like they had the thing? I think they might. I think it's that nobody has figured it out yet. And companies like Yubico. Okay, YubiKey is one of the FIDO Alliance's poster children, right? It's hey, your second factor should definitely not be SMS. It's probably okay as an authenticator, but what's really good is if you have a key. It's something you have. You have an actual key you stick in a USB port. That's Yubico's YubiKey. Yubico got funding to go beyond authentication. They say our new plan is to expand with more advanced software and services, including for Internet of Things, payments, and server encryption. So even Yubico, which is on the front lines, is saying
one problem. They're like, you want to know what? There's a lot of other problems.
You know what? Security and encryption seem to be where the money's at right now. Yes, solving passwords might make security encryption less necessary, but we could sure make a lot of money if we get into security and encryption.
I want to know where the gold's at. Give me the gold.
So I'm curious I don't have an answer to this one at all. I'm curious what folks out there think, especially if there's anybody that's been working on this kind of thing.
Is that this to me feels like the ultimate DTNS audience. I'm sure that there are people that are listening to us right now that are climbing up the walls and are saying, well, but you don't know this, and I use this, and here are these solutions.
I've been developing for FIDO for 3 years. These are the roadblocks that we've hit. These are the things companies are doing that make us hard for us to make advances, all that kind of stuff.
We want all of it. Where can people email, Tom?
feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And of course, if you run across a good story, even if you're not directly involved, you can post it at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, which helps us build the rundown. So either one of those, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, is where Alan Shar wrote today. Said, look, if you're a serious hardcore VR developer, you will have no problem with dropping $5,000 or more for a super powerful Apple branded developer system. Of course, he's talking about the iMac Pro, especially since Apple updates its Pro systems on a longer cycle than its other computers. You would want the most powerful machine they make, even if it seems like more power than you need at the moment. For computers and hardware in general, this is the market where Apple is most comfortable, the high end of the power curve, where they can have higher margins, both because it's less a commodity market and because they can charge a premium for their brand name, since price is not going to be a primary driver for the purchase. I don't think they will make their way back down to illustrators, sorry Scott, or even video editors, where capable hardware is now more of a commodity than a premium. I think they would rather battle in a new space where they think their business model has an advantage, rather than an existing space where they've lost competition to hardware manufacturers. By the way, I've worked at plenty of medium to large enterprises, and any place large enough to have an IT department that handles purchase, setup, and installation will never bother to upgrade components. As Peter says, they will just replace the whole computer every 2 to 3 years. In fact, I think I'm about due for a laptop upgrade at my current job. So he's arguing, as are a few others, but he's one of the first ones to make this argument in our feedback, that Apple doesn't care about the creative professionals that are illustrators and video editors. They care about people doing 3D animation, doing virtual reality, doing the really high-end stuff.
So I had not read much into this line of thought, but I think it makes a world of sense that for everybody saying, oh, Apple left creative professionals behind. No, they left you behind, because you can get the Adobe Cloud service for very cheap. It's a very, very good product. You can get a cheaper machine, or you can use it on one of their more consumery laptops. Can certainly run those Adobe Cloud services. So that's why they have let these products, not only the hardware but also the software like Final Cut Pro, languish, because it just is not the money in the way that it used to be 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I don't know. I can't tell if it was intentional or not, or if they thought, well, maybe we can go to a different market, and then said, no, we need some of those high-end people still. That's important to our product development. But yeah, they sort of abandoned all high-end professionals, and now they're going back and saying, but what we really care about are the super high-end professionals, which is what video editors were in the 1990s. Absolutely. And you know, I'm not saying video editors aren't high-end people, but the tools you need don't have to be as high-end and expensive as they used to.
I mean, now you can edit very, very credible stuff on your phone. And somebody sold you that.
No, it's crazy. And granted, if you're a professional editor, no, you can't do your job on a phone, but you can still do it on a Dell.
Probably do it on a MacBook Pro. And
yeah.
Probably do it on
Roger.
I'm going to drop in and say this, that you're right. If you were just editing, if you were a Predator, like you're a news guy and you were putting together your story, you're right. You don't need anything powerful. However, if you're using...
Roger, you're dropping lingo. What is a Predator for everybody?
Predator is a producer / video editor. It's a way for local news departments to save money by hiring one person that does multiple jobs instead of hiring multiple people to do all those jobs. But one of the things especially if you're heavy in the Creative Cloud, one of the things that people need to do, especially if they want to continue video editing, is to have a very deep understanding of things like Adobe After Effects. Now, it's not to say that running each of those applications independently is going to bring your system to its knees, but if you're in a standard workflow, you're going to be running at least 5 of those applications concurrently at the same time, because you're bringing assets in. For example, an image, and you drop it into Photoshop, you make your tweaks, you take that out, drop it into Premiere, or if you wanted to, drop it in Adobe After Effects, you do whatever motion graphics to that, and then you bring that into Premiere. I mean, once you start doing all that.
Well, listen to yourself, though. You bring it into Premiere.
Yeah.
On a Dell Latitude laptop with a bunch of RAM in it. You don't need the big high-end machine. No,
but if you're doing Adobe After Effects, you will. You actually I
don't think you need that Xeon processor. You put it this way: you don't need the same level of machine that you need to do VR, to do that's high-level 3D. And that's all we're saying is, and you can find plenty of machines that can handle After Effects and other things these days. You can't find as many machines that can do that other.
And my complaint wasn't so much the. I'll save it for after the show. But
no, dude, now you got it. Now you got it.
Well, no. So much was the iMac Pro. I don't know. I'm still skeptical on the iMac Pro. Not so much on a Mac Pro, but an iMac Pro. Cramming that.
I think you're agreeing with Alan, which is like you don't need an iMac Pro for video editing and stuff. And what Alan's saying is, and I don't think Apple's targeting it at those people.
Yeah. Although you will need it if you're doing color correction, because their non-pro monitor uses image or pixel dithering, which is a no-no.
Well, or you could just use a different. You can
use it for a different
monitor. Yeah, which is still cheaper.
Point, then you're just adding more money.
Yeah, but you might be adding less money than $5,000 for an iMac Pro.
All right, I got something funny in the chat room. All right, I'll let you go.
Sorry, Roger C. You're not high end enough, says Ken from Chicago. I think that's what Alan's saying. Thank you, Roger. Roger does video editing, so he knows from whereof he speaks.
I always just know we're doing a very good or a very bad show. We can rile up Roger to just come thundering in. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's good stuff. Thank you, Justin Robert Young, for joining us today. What you got going on besides covering the Comey hearings?
Oh, man, we got so much coming up. Shooting the video for Action News, my new card game that'll be kickstarting on June 30th this weekend. If you want to make sure that you are in the loop on that, just go ahead on over to Kickstarter.com right now. Search for The Contender and follow that account. We're going to launch it on that exact same account that we did for The Contender 2 years ago. And other than that, well, hey, Tom, you can go to twitch.tv/Justin R. Young. Follow me there, where you will see everything that I do.
Excellent. Thanks to everybody who gives a little value back for the value they get from the show. One of the things we do for folks who give $5 a month, I mean, if this show's worth 25 cents to you for each show, that's $5 a month. Patreon.com/DTNS. And as a bonus, you get a weekly exclusive rundown of all the top news of the week. So you can review it and find links to it, as well as an exclusive column from me. So if you want to know more about what I'm thinking about this whole password thing, that column is up at patreon.com/DTNS as well. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Get those emails to me, Fido people. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. We're at facebook.com/dailytechnewsshow, and our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Shannon Morse. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right.
We got you going today, Roger.
It's funny because once you start, I didn't really appreciate that aspect until I actually started doing After Effects. Once you start doing all those things, it brings my machine to its knees. It's not like it does. It's not like it doesn't work, but I'm actually sitting around waiting for
No, it's a totally fair point. I think all Alan's saying is true, but you wouldn't have to go to Apple and you wouldn't have to spend $5,000 to find a capable machine.
Well, I totally agree with him.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I wanted to mention that totally spaced on me when I was talking because I was so riled up. They don't have a software dongle yet to go with the machine. Before they had Final Cut Pro, or they had some other application that could tie in.
You mean bundle, not dongle? Right?
Yeah, bundle. Yeah. I say dongle because it's very much the way that Lightwave was a dongle for the video toaster for the longest time, right? It was a way to. There was a point in time where the video toaster no longer was the only solution, but people wanted Lightwave to do all the cool graphic animations that they could, but they had to buy it as a bundle. So I'm wondering, does Apple have something in the wings that they're going to unleash in order to kind of?
Well, that's what Rich Stroffolino was saying in our producers Slack this morning. Was he was surprised they didn't have a VR software, and I think that's what ARKit is pointing to. I would be surprised if next WWDC there isn't some kind of AR development software that Apple doesn't come out with.
Yeah. Oh. I totally think that the biggest the biggest point in that email, which I thought was brilliant, is just what video editing was back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, because
like thing that you couldn't do for that price before, and now you can.
Yeah. Because
what's the thing that takes hundreds of thousands of dollars now that a $5,000 machine that can do it suddenly seems like a huge bargain?
Because we've said for years, oh my God, these consumer level products and hardware is so good, you know, like you can do quality stuff. And then we saw, you know, the rise of YouTube and small format stuff where people were doing stuff or like, you know, stuff that would get them television and movie deals, you know, on Final Cut or iMovie, stuff like that. And now it's like, okay, well, between the standard coming down a little bit and the ability to do it on regular consumer hardware, you're right. The top end stuff will always require top end machinery. It just Apple doesn't necessarily need to play there, or at least in their opinion, apparently.
Yeah. What are we gonna call this little rendezvous?
We didn't say unlimited forever. Cloudy with a chance of data cap. You can't work for me now. Take a zettabyte of this reality. AI is real. Get it? A is real. Too many cooks spoil the Auth.
I think it's
Apple wants to
right.
Apple wants to catch a predator. I don't know. Kind of uncomfortable with that one. Journey.
Yeah. Also, they spelled predator instead of like editor.
Yeah.
Which makes it even. I know that's just a typo, but.
But reminds you that Dateline MSNBC stuff. The unlimited bait and switch. It's the BSGing of storage.
We need a continuum, though. We need like a name for the continuum of everything that is unlimited will be capped. Everything that is free will be caged, and everything that is caged will be free.
Topsy-turvy day. Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday.
Freaky bandwidth.
Friday continuum. All that is Lindsay Lohan will be Jamie Lee Curtis. And all Jamie Lee Curtis will be Lindsay Lohan.
It's interesting that you know that one. I always associate with the one with Jodie Foster in it. Right? What's it, Jodie Foster?
Yeah, like child Jodie Foster.
Yeah, but who's the adult? I don't remember the adult.
Yeah. I don't know. That show was so long ago. That's why we can't have nice storage. Amazon gets cloudy on unlimited.
This one I would definitely like something about the password stuff, if we can swing it.
Password.
I kind of like too many cooks spoil the Auth.
Yeah. All right. Oh, it was the great Barbara Harris.
Barbara Harris. Wait a minute.
That was the Jodie Foster mom.
She was in something else.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
That. And then negative. Oh, Alfred Driscoll. Negative. Sweet. Freaky Friday. The Irregulars. Peggy Sue got married. Oh, Auth. Yeah, when she played the mother, Kathleen Durham, Peggy Sue got married.
All right, too many cooks spoil the Auth. It is. I'm going to freeze that while I'm. There we go. Dark Redeemer is back. He's back in action. It's back in fine form. What does fine fettle mean?
Fine fettled?
He's back in a fine fettle.
On a fine fettle.
The fettle slang for fit.
A state or condition of health, fitness, wholeness, spirit, or form, often used in the phrase fine fettle.
Oh my. Hey, by the way, speaking of fine fettle, do we know when the UK results start rolling in?
I don't know. They should be any moment now, I would think.
Ooh, exit poll shows hung parliament.
Wait, it does?
Lib Dems? Did the Lib Dems have a higher showing or something?
The earliest indication of the election released to broadcasters as polls closed at 10 p.m. showed the Tories have won with 314 of the vote. I believe they need 320 something.
They're the largest party, but they won't.
No, they'll need. Oh, Jesus Christ. Whatever was doing that was making me answer 4 questions on a survey with an autoplay video behind it. What fresh hell.
What site was that?
The Sun, I think.
Oh, well.
I just go to the BBC. I figured they won't bombard me too much.
Exit polls.
Tories set to be largest party, says BBC.
But may not have a majority.
Lib Dems 14, Labor 266, UKIP none, SNP 34. That's the latest, anyway. And for anyone outside the UK, those a lot of those acronyms probably mean nothing.
Yeah, so the SNP is the Scottish National Party, the Liberal Democrats. What's the PC?
That's
Plaid Cymru. It's the Welsh party. And that was my bad Welsh accent.
Nice.
Plaid Cymru. Something like that anyway.
Yeah, this would be a real whoopsie doodle for Theresa May, who called the snap election because she thought she had a strong enough position.
Yeah, because she had a solid majority that she did not need to call an election for.
Didn't Malcolm Turnbull in Australia do something similar? And he thought he would get an even larger, overwhelming share, and actually lost.
Oh yeah.
Well,
he didn't lose, but he lost a lot of his seats to Labour.
They could stand to lose. What she really wanted was her term would be ending right as a lot of the Brexit, the actual machinations of the Brexit separation would be happening. So I can understand where she came from. And at that point, Jeremy Corbyn, who is the head of the Labour Party, the second largest party, his reputation was in such shambles that she figured, let's strike while the iron's hot. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily a larger party. It was just her term. She would have had to call an election in the midst of Brexit machinations and negotiations, which
Right. I'd forgotten about that part of it. But she also thought she could solidify her mandate.
Yeah.
Which again isn't necessarily mean a larger amount. It's
and also would mean she would just be officially the candidate of a independent.
Because what a lot of people may not realize either is she did not come to power because of an election. David Cameron was the prime minister who came under the last election. He stepped down, and the party put May up as prime minister. So this is also validating her as prime minister to run.
He basically bet his prime ministership on
Brexit,
on stay,
on Remain,
and he left.
He Brexited.
And he Brexited, but now he's sipping pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
And then it turns out that was Theresa May and with the other ad that he answered.
No, because that's a really bad picture in my mind right now. Stop. That's a really bad image.
Does she have half a brain? Does she like making love at midnight? They're both horrible people in that song. We can all agree on that.
My wife says that all the time. It's like, this is a horrible song.
Yeah. They deserve each other. They're perfect for each other.
Exactly. I got tired of my lady.
It's the only time I've ever seen the lead singer of a band wear a windbreaker during his performance.
Oh, really?
It's maybe there's some other bands that do that, but he just looks like someone's dad got up on karaoke, open mic karaoke night. They just got on stage and started singing.
If you like pina coladas.
Too many cooks. All right. I think I've got this whole thing published. Or do I? Too Many Cooks Spoil the Auth is the official title. Roger, I put you in the host's ID3 tag since you spoke up twice. So you can put that in your IMDb.
Sure. I'm no longer credited with night songs.
With night songs?
I used to be credited as a 54-year-old an actor. Like for the longest time, there was another Roger Chang in
They
IMDb.
merged your IMDb's?
So I had a acting history ranging all the way back to like 1960 something.
That's funny.
Even before I was born, it was amazing. It's quite the actor.
Yeah. Justin, are you on IMDb?
I think I might be.
was gonna say you should be now because if nothing else because of the Discovery stuff. Oh, Night Attack's on there.
Yeah, a lot of stuff got it added on.
Oh, but you're just a writer on Night Attack. Oh no, as self also on Night Attack.
Yeah, yeah. I am myself on all these things, including parolee #1 in Prison Logic as an actor. I have 2 acting credits as Max Trollbot and as
Wait a minute.
#1.
I have a credit as Spider Merit, but I didn't play Spider Merit.
You voiced Spider Merit.
I guess I voiced him. Okay.
Yeah.
It says actor though, but yeah, all right. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, but I only voiced Max Trollbot.
Wow. I have a long history. I got Thanks. I have a game on credit for Thanks. And producer. Where'd my call for help producer?
I know. Call for help got yanked from there.
What?
I think.
I used to have Screensavers, Call for Help, and Unscrewed with Martin Sargent. And I still have Unscrewed and Screensavers, but... Also, they're all the wrong titles, but whatever. That's fine.
Whatevs.
Too many people adding things.
Yeah.
Or removing them. Oh, it's going to be a fun time. Just over the next hung parliament. What do they do? I mean, can't they just... is it just...
Well, it depends on what the number ends up being. What they did last time was, even though the Lib Dems had very few, they had enough to be able to put them over the majority, so they just had a coalition with them. If I didn't check the math, if it ends up being the Lib Dems only have 14 and you need 15 to make a majority, I don't know what they do. That could be they might have to go back to the polls.
The stuff that I've read is that the Scottish National Party would be the most likely
tiebreaker
partner.
That's fraught with peril, though.
Yeah.
Because Theresa May would have to change a lot of her Brexit strategy to make that happen, especially for someone who has said, maybe we'll just stay in the European Union, in Nicola Sturgeon.
Well, yeah, but I wonder would it be like she just like, okay, you guys get another Scottish referendum?
I mean, but how do you do that? How do you say, okay, we'll go into coalition government with a party that wants to have a referendum on leaving the United Kingdom?
Well, this is why it's such a cliffhanger, Tom.
I know.
Break out the digestives.
Yes. Break out the digestives, put the kettle on. It's going to be interesting.
Oh my God, so much. We're living in history, guys.
It's a ripping yarn.
Take that, Jesus Jones.
Yeah. In your face.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed our dabbling in British politics. And we will talk to you next time